Later this month, fans of Michael Jackson will mark the legendary entertainer's 77th birthday. Even though Jackson has been dead for 16 years, his contribution to global culture remains thrilling. Jackson was a music icon, an innovative dancer, a spellbinding showman, and also an unwitting political vector for a culture obsessed by racial difference. His glorious career reveals so much about the centrality of ethnicity to the American story, the Black community's enormous cultural contribution to America's imperial project, and the often strange and conflicting consequences of Black people's march from marginalization to the mainstream. Jackson's 1989 song Black and White set out his vision of a truly meritocratic society, which discounted racial origin to privilege talent, character, hard work, perseverance and preventability. It don't matter if you're black or white, Jackson sings defiantly in the chorus. A rap segment later declares that Jackson is not going to spend his life being a color. The words built on the 1963 dream of Dr. Martin Luther King, and predate by more than 2 decades, Dr. King's post-racial forecast that fueled the rise of Barack Obama to the American presidency. However, almost everyone who heard Black or White understood that the singer's personal trajectory contradicted the song's sentiment. For many, Jackson's career arc provided more than enough evidence to show that race might not be a barrier to global stardom, if the artist could offer to the public an unprecedented combination of dancing, singing, and innate musical talent. But suspicious and race-aware Africans, who had listened to the words of Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Kwame and the Panthers, and believed in the beauty of blackness, now had visual proof that Michael Jackson, the darling of the African diaspora, and a star since the age of 5, had lightened his skin to scoop the rewards of global stardom. Jackson's plastic surgery continued apace, as dollar bills in their millions rained down on his gilded head. Was this just a coincidence, and an accident of fate? Was it Jackson's serial reinventions that made him more alluring to a celebrity-crazed public that swarmed over Madonna, Annie Lennox, Sting and other constantly changing white pop music icons of the era? Did Jackson's lighter skin, straighter nose and longer hair make him more appealing to affluent music consumers the world over? Or was the singer's extraordinary popularity the consequence of the divine alchemy of Jackson's musical genius, and the showbiz acumen of producer Quincy Jones, and his celebrated cadre of accomplished musicians? This furious debate has continued for more than 4 decades. In all fairness, no amount of surgery or marketing genius could transform a donkey into a racehorse, so the claim that Jackson sold out for money might be cruel and unjust. What is not in doubt is the fact that Jackson's constant surgery and myriad changes to his physical appearance were his inevitable adaptation to the norms of anti-blackness. Even a performer as astonishingly gifted as the King of Pop found it necessary to further his career by submitting to the racial expectations of an anti-black culture. Black skin has been the subject of varying degrees of unacceptability ever since the dawn of the New World African Holocaust. Nowhere does this bitter truth apply more egregiously than in the world of entertainment, with its near-total reliance on white capital and patronage, and white control of the means of production, distribution and exchange. That is why Jackie Wilson, Nat King Cole, James Brown, and almost every well-known celebrity of the 1930s, 40s, 50s and 60s succumbed to the social discipline of anti-blackness, adding cancerous products to their hair, in the hope that their adulterated blackness would be more appealing to the audience they relied upon for their survival. Black style aesthetics are downstream of politics. The trend towards natural hair and African clothing occurred during a period when Africa and the diaspora were engulfed by liberation struggles. As black leaders were murdered, exiled, and imprisoned, or settled for the rewards of compliance, so black culture followed suit. From the 1980s onwards, black celebrities were at the forefront of what some describe as a cultural surrender, with their near-total commitment to white beauty standards. As anti-blackness has an especial disregard for black women, it should come as no surprise that this scourge weighs more heavily on black women and black female entertainers in particular. The BET Award for Best Female R&B Pop Artist makes this point emphatically. Its list of recent winners and nominees includes Cardi B, SZA, Tyla, Doja Cat, Megan, Rihanna, and of course, Beyoncé. These women are all super talented, and they also share a similar complexion. There are exceptions to this brown paper bag rule, but the performer's color, there in plain sight for all to see, is surely not an accident. Behind these artists are record company executives and a small army of marketing and sales experts, with research data showing that dark-skinned female entertainers perform poorly comparatively in the global marketplace. The return on investment is greater if the star is white, or is sufficiently light-skinned to be presented as race-neutral, their blackness buried under industrial quantities of hair and makeup, numerous surgical interventions, and ever more garish wigs. Only the timeless Whitney Houston and the gorgeous Lauryn Hill were sufficiently talented to defy this iron law of show business over the past 40 years. Curiously, a different standard applies to black male celebrities. Black male rappers in particular satisfy the norms of anti-blackness with their performance of black male swagger, potency and aggression. Their dark black skin is a bonus, a marker of their authenticity, their otherness and their inherent transgression. Many commentators noted how the once beloved and supposedly race-neutral O.J. Simpson was blackened by media publications after he became the main suspect in the 1994 murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. O.J. Simpson was returned to black because in an anti-black society, blackness is code for chaos, danger and disorder. The promotion of racially ambiguous and sexually charged celebrity, the media prominence given to high-profile interracial couples, and the careful selection of lighter-skinned blacks for visible positions of power increases the potency of anti-blackness and allows the poison to reach into every aspect of black life. Even now, schools still police black hairstyles. Despite the occasional fads for natural hair, young black women have been made to understand that chemically changing the texture of their hair is a rite of passage, signaling the transition from child to woman. The polemic around black men dating outside of their race is well known. Yet, high-profile black men, who are championed for their dating preference, often select lighter-skinned companions. Anti-black messages bombard the brains of black people 24 hours a day. So it should come as no surprise that there is a flourishing billion-dollar market for hair straightening lotions and skin lightening creams. These chemicals are recognized as potentially dangerous. But black women don't seem to care. Many corporate black women come to see wigs or straightened hair as part of their work uniform, despite the mounting research showing that the long-term use of chemical treatments may literally be a death sentence. But as TV, newspapers and magazine articles so eagerly report, black people, even those living in African nations, willingly risk cancer and other ailments in a bid to lighten their skin color. By extension, their actions reinforce anti-blackness, the global beauty hierarchy, and the wider European supremacist narrative. Colorism has emerged to describe the phenomenon of black people's self-hatred, but this is a poison rooted in the economics of centuries-old segregation and colonialism. The established beauty pyramid celebrates hazelnut-colored California cheerleaders, Italian brunettes, and Scandinavian white blondes, whilst ignoring dark-skinned black African women. This hierarchy is the fruit of 400 years of military domination, socio-cultural subordination, and the gargantuan transfer of colonial wealth and resources to the metropoles of Europe. Colonialism may have begun as a military adventure. But the imperial project required fear, poverty, compliance, and psychological obedience, if not dependence, if the empire was to survive. Imperial nations remain determined to remind their colonized subjects that they are defeated, humiliated, and of course, less desirable. European supremacy was built on the back of African enslavement, a practice Europeans had outlawed among their own people centuries before. Despite the best endeavors, this original sin cannot be reduced to a footnote in the European story. This is why it remains imperative to encourage Africans to the view that they deserve their torment. To this end, self-hatred is an effective weapon of distraction, smoothing the continued extraction, exploitation and theft of the continent's resources. Across the globe, Africans are encouraged to see themselves as educationally subnormal, criminogenic, feckless and so on. We are admired as a naturally athletic and culturally gifted people. But when last did you hear black men discussed in terms of their intelligence? Or black women cited for their extraordinary grace, elegance and beauty? The explanation is obvious. Many billions of dollars are spent annually to maintain the iron grip of the European beauty industry. Targeted messages are spread via billboard posters, newspapers and magazine covers. They proliferate throughout advertising, television, the cinema, and across adult websites and social media. This relentless communication is nothing less than a deliberate lifelong assault on black people's self-appreciation, which they are not expected to survive intact. Ultimately, some black people will come to the view that their skin color makes them less desirable. And it suits the dominant narrative of anti-black societies to present this desire to approximate whiteness as a peculiarly black failing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Many of the world's non-white peoples have also inhaled the noxious fumes of the globalized beauty industry and its obsession with whiteness. In Asian societies, eye-widening operations have become so popular that they earn millions for the region's plastic surgeons. The Indian subcontinent appears to be built on skin differentiation, with lighter skin affording enormous social capital. By contrast, lower castes are identified by their darker pigment. The mainstream Western media is less fascinated by Asia's taste for the European aesthetic, because it is so unerringly focused on ensuring that black people know their place in the world's racial hierarchy. If relatively prosperous Asian societies, which have been allowed to retain much of their culture, language and customs, are enthralled to white beauty standards, then what are the chances that the African diaspora, vastly poorer and with a culture so comprehensively penetrated by European tastes, standards and ambitions, is able to see the beauty in itself? There is a song which has been a mainstay in black culture for decades. It contains the following lyrics: "If you are white, you are all right. If you are yellow, you are mellow. If you are brown, stick around. And if you are black, get back or you better attack." The song's lyrics confirm what many black people learn as children. Black self-hatred is an essential tool of our oppression. The Black awakening begins with the healing of self-love.